Hello, and welcome to G Fun Facts Online, the show that dives deep into the fascinating science behind the world we live in. I'm your host, and today we're talking about something that quietly holds the modern world together, something you've probably never heard of, but is absolutely critical for global security. Have you ever been on a trip with a friend, and you have an Android phone but they have an iPhone? Your battery is dying, you desperately need a charge, but their cable is useless to you. It's frustrating, right? Now, imagine that same problem. But instead of phones, it's billion-dollar fighter jets, advanced missile defense systems, and entire armies. And instead of a dead battery, the consequence of not being able to connect is a failed mission, or worse. This, on a global scale, is the challenge of interoperability. It's the intricate art and rigorous science of making sure different countries' military forces can act as one single cohesive unit. It's about engineering alliances. And today, we're going to unpack the three secret pillars that make this incredible feat of cooperation possible. So how do you get a German tank, an American drone, and a Polish command center to all speak the same language? Let's find out. The first and most obvious pillar is the technical dimension. At first glance, this seems like the easiest part of the puzzle. Just make sure the plugs fit, right? Create a universal adapter and call it a day. But the reality is infinitely more complex. We're not just talking about physical connectors. We're talking about the invisible web of software, data formats, communication protocols, and network architectures that underpin modern military operations. The biggest hurdle here is what experts call the technological gap. Imagine a joint military exercise. One nation shows up with the very latest, cutting-edge command and control system. It's a beautiful digitally integrated network that shares real-time data, video feeds, and location tracking instantly. Their ally, however, might be working with equipment that's a decade older, relying on analog radio systems that are robust and reliable, but simply don't speak the digital language of their partner. It's like trying to send a high-definition video stream to an old rotary telephone. The information just can't get through. This creates immense friction on the battlefield. Decisions get delayed. Commanders have a fragmented, incomplete picture of what's happening, and the entire operation slows down. To solve this, organizations like NATO have spent decades developing a massive library of standards and protocols. Think of it as creating a universal language for machines. The goal isn't necessarily for every country to have the exact same equipment. Instead, it's about creating a federated network. This means that a Norwegian radar system, a German air defense battery, and a Dutch command post can all plug into a common framework and share their data in a standardized format. The Norwegian system might say, "I see an unidentified aircraft at these coordinates," and the German and Dutch systems instantly understand the what, where, and when, without any translation. But sometimes, the most elegant solutions aren't top-down mandates. They're clever innovations from the ground up. Take the U.S. Army's 2nd Cavalry Regiment. They were operating in Europe and faced constant challenges trying to digitally link up with their partners from Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia. The systems just weren't compatible. So they developed something called the Mission Partner Kit, or MPK. This wasn't some billion-dollar research project. It was a simple kit built with commercial, off-the-shelf technology, stuff you could practically buy online. This kit acted as a bridge, a universal translator that could connect their advanced digital systems with their allies' different communication gear. Suddenly, everyone could see the same map, the same targets, the same operational picture. It was a brilliant, simple solution to a long-standing, complex problem, proving that sometimes the best way to achieve technical interoperability is with a bit of battlefield ingenuity. Now, let's move on to our second pillar. So you've got all the equipment plugged in and talking to each other, the data is flowing, problem solved, right? Not even close. This brings us to the procedural dimension. This is all about the how. It's about aligning the tactics, techniques, and procedures, what military planners call TTPs, so that everyone is operating from the same playbook. If a commander from one country gives an order, it has to be understood and executed in the exact same way by troops from another country. Without this common language of action, even the most technologically connected forces will descend into chaos. Let me give you a stark example: calling for artillery fire. In a fast-paced battle, a frontline unit needs to be able to request support quickly and accurately. But what if one army's procedure involves a 10-digit grid coordinate, while another's uses a landmark-based system? What if the terminology for the type of shell is different? A request for immediate suppression might mean one thing to an American artillery crew and something entirely different to a French one. In the time it takes to sort out that confusion, the window of opportunity could close, with potentially devastating consequences. It's the same for everything else. Rules of engagement, when and how you are allowed to fire your weapon, can differ enormously. Logistical procedures for requesting fuel, ammunition, or even water can be completely different. This creates confusion, inefficiency, and friction at every level. This is why NATO has invested so much effort into developing what they call Allied Joint Publications, or AJPs. Think of this as a gigantic, shared library of military doctrine. It's the ultimate how-to guide, covering everything from large-scale amphibious landings to the proper way to set up a joint task force headquarters. These documents are the product of decades of experience, refined through countless exercises and real-world operations. And the place where these procedures are forged in fire is during massive joint exercises. Events like NATO's Trident Juncture are the ultimate test. They bring together tens of thousands of personnel from dozens of countries to practice working together in highly realistic scenarios. It's here that you discover the subtle but critical differences. There is a famous story from one exercise where a major challenge emerged from a seemingly simple task: distributing bottled water to a multinational force. Different units had different procedures for requesting, storing, and handing out supplies. The result was that some units had too much water, while others were running low, threatening to delay the entire operation. They literally had to form a special working group just to figure out how to give everyone a drink of water. It sounds almost silly, but it perfectly illustrates how crucial procedural alignment is, right down to the smallest detail. Finally, we arrive at the third, and arguably, the most important and most complex pillar: the human dimension. You can have the best technology in the world and the most perfectly written rulebook, but at the end of the day, it's people who have to operate the equipment. It's people who have to make life or death decisions under incredible stress. And it's people who have to trust each other. This dimension covers everything from language and culture to trust and personal relationships. It is the unseen force multiplier. Cultural differences can have a massive impact. Some military cultures are very hierarchical, with a rigid chain of command. A direct, blunt order is expected and respected. In other cultures, there's more emphasis on collaborative decision-making and consensus. A commander who gives a direct order without explanation might be seen as rude or dismissive, eroding team cohesion. Understanding and respecting these cultural nuances is absolutely essential for building an effective multinational team. Then there's the obvious barrier: language. While English is the official working language of NATO, the proficiency of individual soldiers, pilots, and sailors can vary dramatically. In a calm, quiet classroom, it's one thing. But in the heat of battle, with engine noise, explosions, and adrenaline pumping, a misunderstood word or a thick accent can lead to catastrophic errors. This is why standardized military terminology and constant language training are so vital. But above all, the human dimension is about building one thing: trust. Trust is the invisible thread that binds a multinational force. It's the confidence a French pilot has that a Belgian air traffic controller will guide them safely. It's the faith a Canadian infantry commander has that the German artillery unit supporting them will deliver fire accurately and on time. This trust isn't built in a boardroom, it's built through shared experience. It's forged when soldiers from different nations train together, eat together, live in the same muddy field together, and overcome challenges together. Through these shared hardships, they build personal bonds that transcend their national flags. They learn to rely on each other. This trust is the ultimate foundation of interoperability. Without it, the tech and the procedures are just hollow shells. So where is all of this heading? The science of interoperability is constantly evolving. Looking to the future, two major factors are set to completely reshape the landscape. The first is artificial intelligence. AI is a classic double-edged sword. On one hand, it holds the potential to solve many of our interoperability problems. Imagine an AI system that could translate languages between different units in real time, with perfect accuracy. Imagine an AI that could automatically deconflict logistical demands, ensuring that fuel and supplies get to the right place at the right time without a human ever having to fill out a form. AI could provide every commander from every nation with a single, perfectly unified operational picture generated from thousands of data points. It sounds like a dream, but there's a dark side. What happens if allied nations all develop their own, separate and incompatible AI systems? We could end up creating a whole new layer of technological silos. The AI gap could become the new technology gap, creating even deeper divisions within an alliance. To prevent this, nations must start collaborating now on common AI frameworks and, crucially, on shared ethical guidelines to ensure these powerful new tools bring us closer together rather than drive us further apart. The second major shift is the expansion of interoperability beyond the military. Modern conflicts are messy. They aren't just fought on battlefields anymore. They involve a complex mix of government agencies, non-governmental organizations or NGOs, humanitarian aid groups, and even private tech companies. In this new environment, a military's ability to interoperate with these civilian partners is becoming just as important as its ability to work with other militaries. This requires a whole new kind of flexible interoperability. It might mean coordinating with the Red Cross to deliver humanitarian aid in a disaster zone. It could involve working with social media companies to counter a hostile disinformation campaign. Or it might mean collaborating with local police forces to maintain stability after a conflict. This is a huge challenge. It requires bridging the massive cultural and procedural gap between the rigid, hierarchical world of the military and the more decentralized, diverse world of civilian organizations. It will require new training, new procedures, and new technologies designed specifically for this military-civilian collaboration. In conclusion, the science of interoperability is the invisible bedrock upon which all successful multinational alliances are built. It's a painstaking, never-ending effort that balances three critical pillars: the technical challenge of connecting machines, the procedural challenge of creating a common playbook, and the deeply human challenge of building trust. As our world becomes more interconnected and the global challenges we face grow more complex, the ability of nations to engineer these intricate webs of cooperation will be more critical than ever. It is the hidden science that ensures our collective security and helps shape a more stable future for all. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online. Join us next time for another deep dive into the amazing world around us.